Welcome to the Rebel Road Show.
How many tulips is too many tulips?
We're talking with people making money off the beaten path. Let's kick it over to Madeline, who's got some drinks for us.
Tequila, gin.
Oh, I'm getting paid for this too? Dope.
Every shoot's almost Firefest, right? We're a picture of a sandwich away from just being canceled. Every shoot. Cheers. All right. CP, thanks for making the trek out here.
Sweet, man.
Appreciate
no problem.
it.
No problem.
Appreciate it. So for those who don't know, you run Knicks Fan TV. You're the creator of it. You're the face of it. You, my friend, have disrupted the biggest sports market that there is, the most cutthroat competitive market there is, and forced your way in to be like a real voice.
Here we go. Special edition of Knicks Fan TV Live presented by Manscaped.
From humble beginnings on YouTube to now, you've appearances on ESPN. You have a post-game show on NBA radio coming on. You got 50,000 subs on YouTube and a growing fan base every day. Did you ever dream that this would start when you were interviewing people outside of the Garden?
Well, it starts when I started a sports blog, right? It's called Talking New York Sports. So it was written content, and we started covering all the New York sports, and it was me and my friends. And because sports talk is just something that we did. And I tell the story all the time is that, you know, I grew up on Mike and the Mad Dog.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Which was, to me,
Me as well, yeah.
the start of sports talk radio. You know, all these shows now, whether it's First Take or Skip and Shannon, all the guys with, you know, the two pundits, that started with Mike and the Mad Dog back in the early 90s. And
No one's been as good as them.
No one's been. No
No one,
one,
not even close.
No one has been as good as them. And I just remember going back, you know, I go back to like Take Your Kid to Work Day. And me and my dad would go into the city, and he used to work right across the street from MSG. In the office, you know, the radio would be down low, but you could always hear Mad Dog like high-pitched and screaming.
I mean, why waste my time? Every single freaking year, I get myself juiced up with this stupid team, and at 43 years of age and 3 kids, enough already.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's going on with this? And over time, I just became so, you know, obsessed with like FAN, ESPN radio. I would go to sleep listening to it. I would wake up listening to it, in the car listening to it. And that was always the foundation of my sports fandom.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just saw the opportunity was there to build something in the digital age. And if you look at mainstream media, you know, look, the Knicks haven't been anything to talk about in the last 20-something years.
Right.
You flip on ESPN, they're laughing at the Knicks. Or it's the latest rumor, or it's the latest Dolan did this, right?
Every year you travel the country and you go to New York and people are like, you think our team sucks? I'm like, yeah, I only think that because they suck.
Right.
In the Twitter sphere, we call it LOL Knicks, because it's just that clickbait. You know,
the Knicks are used. They're used. They like to rile up our fan base. It's instant engagement.
Yeah.
It clicks for Knicks is definite. And it's hard to know what's real and what's not. We take a lot of abuse. Katrin, do we take a lot of abuse as Knicks fans?
I'm a Yankees fan for a reason. I earned the Yankees because I'm a diehard Knicks fan.
Right, exactly. The Yankees is like the sorbet to cleanse the palate of a bad Knicks season.
No question. No question, man. They keep us going, you know, and so you turn on the mainstream and it's all fluff. It's nothing much. And even when you go to the Knicks local channel on MSG and on a non-game night, there's really no Knicks content. So I found myself uninterested in even watching these platforms. And I talked about FAN earlier, but nowadays, because the team isn't so good, they don't really talk about that as much. They're talking about the other sports and the other hot topics. So there was a white space to talk about the Knicks, capitalizing on this 24/7 news cycle that we have, this global connectivity that we have as sports fans, because to me, a diehard Knicks fan, there's really none like it when it comes to talking basketball and talking about your team,
right.
You know, and we're all over the globe. And so I just saw a white space to create a platform to bring us together and kind of hold court, hold therapy, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and there's never been a fan base that's deserved a drink like Knicks fans. So part of our show is we have a bartender in our midst here. So Katrin, she's a long life Knicks fan. She's been to playoff games in the golden era with Patrick Ewing and Oak and Mason.
My dad went to Georgetown, watched him play there. Like a significant part of my life is being a Knicks fan.
What are we drinking?
So I was going to make a pomegranate martini for you.
Now, here's a fun fact about the martini. The martini was invented in New York, actually, in 1912 at the Knickerbocker Hotel. So it's all full circle.
All full
That's
circle.
full circle right there. It's a little bit of fun trivia here.
Nice.
And CP, what's your drink of choice?
Whiskey, a little whiskey ginger ale.
All right. We can definitely help you out with that. So Katrin was living that good life seeing Michael Jordan, but a lot of tears. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough.
It's hard out here for us, man.
It's an interesting time for you to kind of have built this audience because I really think that, the Knicks' fortune is changing, and you put in the grunt work during the bad years, which is great. And you do a really great job of sifting through all the bullshit and really helping Knicks fans keep their sanity. Sometimes we want things that might not be the right fit, and it's just like the patience just isn't there anymore. It's like rebuild number 7 at this point.
You're right, man. The patience isn't there. All the years of losing and all the years of mismanagement. It's like a PTSD, you know. So we're living and dying on every moment, and so I understand that, and I think that's why the platform appeals to so many people, because they can call in and still be heard.
Right.
And I'm not going to put them down. I'm not going to, tell them that's a terrible take. Everybody's take is welcome on the show. We'll laugh at some. We'll react to some. It all depends. But either way, it really is like therapy. I don't think I get paid enough for doing what I do. But, it just comes with the territory. I look at it as a media company. When I introduce myself now, I say, Knicks Fan TV, it's a media company. It's a media channel. And our content mix is reflective of that. It's not just, yes, the live streams can be a little bit unstructured, but we try to mix up our content. We try to keep it serious, and we bring on the experts, right?
Yeah.
My channel is the only channel where you can have an Alan Hahn from an MSG network, an Ian Begley, who's a Knicks insider from SNY. You'll have a Mark Berman from New York Post. I'll have a Fred Katz, who covers the team from The Athletic. So I bring in all the guys who have inside paths to the team to give the fans that perspective that I don't have. When it comes to the draft, we bring in the experts who are covering these prospects. So we try to give the fans everything on the team, whether it's, the ins and outs on the daily basis or the draft, free agency, or whatever the case may be.
Right. When you started out, what was the content like?
Well, let me back it up, right? Because Arsenal Fan TV and some of the other Premier League fan channels was kind of the inspiration in terms of how I was going to craft it in the digital on-demand age. And so I had a tripod, I took my phone out, and the night of the draft in 2017, I went out to MSG to interview fans. And at the time, during that day, there was rumors going around that the Knicks were interested in trading Porzingis. There was rumors of Phil Jackson wanted to get Devin Booker, trade into Phoenix. There was a Boston trade out there. So there was good content to be had to go out there and interview fans. So I got good content before the draft, and then we drafted Frank. Then we drafted Frank, and then it became more therapy at the end of the night. So that was the first episode, and then I started recording my post-game reactions for each game, and I said, this just takes too long. I'm a one-man show.
Yeah.
I got a job. I don't have time.
What was the day job?
The day job at the time, I was an IT consultant with the Big Four consulting company. So I was busy. Still am. And but at that time, recording content and then editing, learning to edit, I had no idea how to do any of that.
Wow.
So I had to teach myself that as well. I was just like, this is just not working. And so at the time, we were getting maybe, 200 views, 300 views here and there. And I said, I got to do this live. Got to do it live.
Yeah, that's a huge component to it.
I got to do it live and do it in a way where after the live, it'll be in a format that's still digestible and still able to be ported over to podcast format, because I want to be able to reach everybody wherever they were with minimal editing time. So we can, speed was certainly a factor. But I didn't start doing the live streams on YouTube. I started on Instagram.
Okay.
So me and my partner Jay Ellis at the time, we were doing the split when Instagram first brought in the split screen. we were doing our reactions there. And we were holding court. We would have between 50 people sometimes maybe 100 sometimes. And ultimately, while we were doing that, I was investing in my studio, getting my professional equipment and getting ready to move it over to YouTube, where I could have the callers calling in and so on and so forth.
So that IT background came in.
Yeah. And my own training, man, because like I said, I had no broadcast background, no media background, so I had to teach myself everything. So ultimately, we moved from Instagram and started doing the live streams on YouTube.
Were you working from 9 to 5 and then bam, all night was Knicks Fan TV learning how to do these things?
Yeah. Before my son was born, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And, my son was born in 20, he's going to be 4 this year. So he was born in 2018. And so that was difficult. So I'm not
Right.
9 to 5, full-time dad. Then he's down, and then it's Knicks game from 7 o'clock. And then straight through, it's, chopping up content or moving the content to the podcast or learning how to do these things or to fine tune those skills. So it was a lot of work. It is a lot of work. It still is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sacrifice. But I realize over time is that when you don't mind doing it and you don't mind, the 4 or 5 hours of sleep every day, then you've truly tapped into your passion.
Yeah.
Right. And I wasn't making money at that time either. So I didn't really care because I was truly loving everything, And so, yeah, it was rough, but it's worth it.
Was there ever a moment when you're getting like 50 or 300 views where you're just like, and you're tired, so some bullshit pops up at the day job and you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Or when the team is losing. Remember, they had a 17-win season.
Right.
The year after,
oh my
they
God,
got pranked,
yes.
right? So, and that turned into Archie. So 17-65, and I didn't miss one night of a post-game show. So
Wow.
82 games, but 65 of those were losses and bad losses. So
Yeah, what are you talking about after that? It's like broken record.
you're right. But, I just felt like it was important to have that platform be available for people to call in and voice their opinion. I never really saw it as a job or, some daunting task. Yeah, some nights you're like, damn, I don't even know how I can go on. But once you go on and you get into the groove, it's like any other night, win or lose.
Was there ever a moment you were going to quit?
No, because, over my lifetime, I probably tried to start a couple of side businesses, right? I tried selling sneaker accessories. I tried online tutoring company, all these things. And I quit early, for one, because I didn't have patience. I think my mindset was in the wrong place. I was looking to get money right away. And it just wasn't my passion, so I didn't really care whether I was getting it or not. And so when I started this, I said, I'm going to keep it consistent. Consistency is a thing that I always heard with like some of the great performers or the great anybody in anything that they're doing. Whether you're reading the books or you listen to them on podcasts, they always talk about, keeping it consistent. I say, you know what? I'm going to give my all to this thing and just see where it goes. And I'm not going to stop.
Wow.
And so that's why I was just like, I'm not going to quit, because I just saw the opportunity with people cord cutting and going to more niche platforms and wanting to be around communities and authentic voices. So I just felt like the white space was there to tap into.
Yeah, looking at Premier League and seeing that model and transferring it to the NBA, especially in New York, was very smart. But it's a lot of work.
A ton of work.
It's a lot of work. Did you have like a stretch or a viral video or something that is like, okay, this is starting to get legs, or was it just a slow build?
Yeah, so when the Knicks were rumored to get Katie and Kyrie, and at that time, like
And
I said,
Zion's coming.
the Zion thing. So I looked at it, I said, let me tell you something. If we get these 3 guys, this thing is going to the moon. Like,
Right.
forget about it. I'm trying to prepare myself for a phenomenon, because this thing is going to take off. And then when we didn't get them, I was like, oh shit. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, when that free agency came and KD put his announcement on Instagram that he's going to the Nets, number one, I was crushed.
Yeah.
Because I felt
Like,
it was
and Julius
LeBron.
Randle.
It was
everyone.
LeBron and the Heat all over again.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm like, what the hell's gonna happen? Like, we're not gonna grow.
Right.
And we never stopped growing.
Yeah.
That night we got Julius and Bobby Portis, all these guys. I had videos with like 50,000 views. And at that time, I'm like in the teens of subscribers. So we kept growing.
And you were just there. You're the only voice that was there.
There were others, but we were the best.
Right.
Just to put it out there. You know, I'm a humble guy, but we were the best.
No.
Yeah.
There's no one even close to what you're
Right. And so even when we were signing, you know, Taj Gibson, Alfred Payton, people were still coming. They were still coming. And we grew, you know, twice as much exponentially. And so that's why I was like, all right, we're on to something. Again, keep it consistent, keep it going. And then the next point where I wondered about, you know, pivoting was, you know, we're in the 2019-2020 season. All of a sudden the pandemic hits and the season stops. So in the middle of February, and so typically you have your content calendar where you're going to do your post games after each game. Then you're going to segue into draft, free agency. It's kind of laid out. So at that time, I'm like, shit, what the hell am I going to do? What are we going to talk about, you know,
Right.
to stay consistent? And that's when I started tapping into player interviews. A friend of mine had reached out to me and he was like, he was always telling me, he was like, get the X-Man on the show, Xavier McDaniel.
Yeah.
He was a Knick for the 1 year, 91,
I
92.
remember him. That's my that's probably my intro to basketball was that time.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any Knick that's more of a fan favorite in that short amount of time. 1 year.
Yeah.
The X-Man. There's no way.
Yeah.
But he kept telling me, oh yeah, he's like, get him on your show, get him on your show. And so when we got him on the show during the pandemic, he hit us with so many sound bites that the thing went through the roof.
Really?
And to this day, between his interview and the micro content that we repurposed, I think it summed up to like 400,000 views.
Wow.
It's crazy.
From Xavier McDaniel.
Xavier McDaniel. 400,000 views.
That's even crazy
Yeah.
that's where you went to get an interview. Like, who would have
Yeah.
thought Xavier McDaniel? And then
Yeah.
he just brought the goods.
Yeah. And then prior to X-Men, it was actually Charles Oakley. That was the first one during the pandemic.
Oh, you got Oak.
We got Oak. And
Now, what connects are you getting to get Oak? You get there's just some through the grapevine. You just knew
no,
somebody.
this is through Chuck D. Of Public Enemy fame, and he's been the number one supporter of the show, the number one supporter of me. You know, he's become like a friend and a mentor to me.
Was
over
it
this
you
time.
knew him from through somebody, or just like he saw it and just started?
There was a random time, me and my old partner JL's, we were walking into a Knicks game, and as we were walking into the game, we were just talking about just content strategy and how we were going to move forward. And I told him, I was like, we got to stick with YouTube because you just never know who's watching. You know, you just never know. So we have to stick with YouTube, improve ourselves, improve our delivery, our presentation, everything, because you just never know. You know, YouTube's 2 billion people on YouTube on a daily basis. You just never know.
And they're finding it through Google searches and
That's it. Right after that, like literally right after that, that week, I got a notification on Twitter, and it's from Chuck D. And it said, yo, I just subscribed to Knicks Fan TV. Like, let's go, or something like that.
wow.
And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't know, maybe you got hacked or something. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had no idea. And over time, yeah, our relationship just grew.
Awesome.
And it just grew. And so he connected me with Oak. You know, he connected me with Max, Alan Hahn. You know, Chuck has been, the thing about Chuck is that, you know, he understands the power of championing a cause, being a champion of a cause.
Yeah.
And what that can do. You know, he's done it in hip hop, whether it's for Busta Rhymes, Queen Latifah, you know, other artists, and helping springboard their career. And so he's doing that for me now. So, you know, it's been a humbling experience. I'm super grateful for his friendship and his mentorship. and you know the doors that he's helping open up for me.
I mean,
no question.
That's an amazing lesson. The fact that through blind faith, you're having fun with something. You're like, we got to be consistent. You never know who's watching. To have that kind of positivity and optimism as your steering force, to then have somebody like Chuck D, who you're filling a void for him too. He's part of this tribe.
Never misses a show. When I start my live streams, I start it while the game is on, so that there's a chat room going before I start my show. And most of the time, he's in there before I am.
Wow.
He's talking to people and reacting to the game and stuff like that. So he's been a driving force for us, no question. But so the Oakley interview now, the funny thing about the Oakley interview is that, you know, I told JLs, I told my partner, you know, we had our outline of questions and stuff like that. I said, listen, this thing is probably going to go way off the rails. So just be ready. Because it's Charles Oakley. You know, he's a combustible personality. And so you got to be ready to pivot, you know, and kind of ride the bull wherever he's going. We got to go. So
was this before or after the Dolan incident
this
at
was
the
after.
Garden? After.
This was
Oh,
after.
man. So who knows where this was going to go?
Right. So we interview an Oak, man, and this thing just goes as I thought. Just a whirlwind. How about Patrick Ewing?
I don't know. I don't deal with Patrick. Patrick, I don't even
Why
talk
not?
to
Why
Patrick.
not? Yeah, what happened with that, man? You said Patrick
What happened?
was soft. I mean that was your man for almost 10 years.
If I said it, you already heard it, so why I gotta repeat myself?
You know, ups and downs and so many emotions, and it's getting heated, it's getting tested, and then it's getting friendly and cool. But ultimately, this was during the pandemic, and ultimately that was the first time when the sound bites from our show were presented on a national scale. So Michael K. Show was reacting to it.
Really?
And NBC Sports was covering it. So the New York Post was covering it. So that was the first time when, you know, Knicks Fan TV content really shot out there on the mainstream. Was that interview, because that was the time when, again, the league had stopped. And so there was really no content for these beat writers and these sports reporters to cover. There were no Knicks games.
Wow.
And so that was a big moment for us. That was a big moment.
Was that
for us.
before the X-Men interview?
That was before. But what happened was Oakley, because I triggered a nerve with Oakley because he had said, you know, some negative things about Patrick Ewing.
Don't talk about my man.
Katrin wrote 8 book reports on Patrick Ewing.
It's like the second love of my life. I love Patrick Ewing. I cried him many a nights.
That's my hero, man. And he always called Patrick Ewing soft and this, that, and the third. And so I you know, asked him about it. And so he commented on it, how, you know, he didn't have my back during the Dolan situation. And so either way, I brought that up with X-Man in his interview. I said, hey, here's what Oakley said about Patrick Ewing. What do you think? And in his comment, it was basically like, Oakley used to, miss shots left, right, and center. He
took shots
at Oak.
Ugh.
And that video, which I cut out of the bait interview, went viral.
Oak would miss a wide open layup. Let's just be honest. Sometimes he'd be wide open, miss a layup.
That soundbite from that X-Man interview, remember I told you there was 400,000 views. That one alone is 200, represents 200 plus thousand.
Just taking that swipe.
Just taking that swipe.
Wow.
That 5-minute soundbite was incredible.
It all snowballed together, though, right?
All snowballed together.
You had Oak on. He took a shot. You followed up. Hey, you did the right thing.
Yeah,
the next interview you had, you brought up something relevant that the fans were responding to, and gold happened.
It was gold. It was
and then
gold.
there are subs coming from that, like those 400,000 views.
Tremendous amount. Yeah.
Right, because then it's just awareness, right? Like, oh wait, there's a Knicks centric thing. We have nothing. Yeah, we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
We get 5 minutes on the fan.
That's it. So, throughout the pandemic, it was just, I think because the fact that people were home for the most part,
right?
These guys, sometimes they're not available. Sometimes they don't want to do interviews, but the fact that they were home, we were able to roll off guy after guy after guy. So after Oak, we had X-Man. Then we had Rasheed Wallace, which is one of my, favorite guys.
I love Sheed. I would argue that him and X are like the guys in the stints that
no question
the fan base really clung to.
Yeah, no question. And then the thing about Sheed is like, he was never really a big media guy.
Yeah.
So for him to really trust me with that interview, that meant a lot to me. And he gave us an hour and plus. It was fantastic. We had Kenyon Martin. We had Derek Harper. Charlie Ward came on. We had a number of guys.
So you got all the alum.
Jamal Crawford. Yeah, we had a number, and I was just running them off. And it's so that filled the void. That got me through 10 months of no basketball. It was just storytelling, of kind of the glory days.
Wow. Now that you had that success and you started to grow this audience, what's the day-to-day like to run Knicks Fan TV? Like, how much work goes into this?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, man. But, I think the fortunate thing is that as we've been able to grow and grow our resources, we've been able to scale. And so before, when it was a one-man show with me hosting, producing, cutting up audio, cutting up social media content, now I can kind of delegate those tasks. Now I've been able to build out Knicks Fan TV. So the day-to-day on a game day, it would look like, number one, I'm doing research on the team. Where are we right now? How do we look in the standings? What are some key stats right now? Where are we trending in terms of the stats? And then I'm researching the opponent. So I'm reading up on blogs that are covering the opponent, podcasts. How is that opponent trending? How do these two teams match up? Where are the statistical advantages that we have over them? Where are the statistical advantages that they have over us? And so when I'm doing all that homework, I'm kind of pulling out, here are some areas that I'm going to look at in this game to see, okay, is my hypothesis right? Here are the key storylines that I want to hone in on this game, and let's see what happens. And so I'm talking about those things for the post game.
So you spent a couple hours researching everything. That's going to take some time.
A couple hours researching, and then watch the game, the whole game. And then at that point, then we go live. And so we'll do our live show. We'll capture the fan reactions. We'll cut to any sound bites that might be out there on social media and so on and so forth. And then after that, we'll prepare the show for the audio format for the podcast. So before I was doing it myself, now I have a dedicated editor and producer who will clean up the sound, cut out any dead spots, so on and so forth, and make it presentable in podcast format. And then I'll work with my video editing team to say, okay, here's the sound bites that we want to cut out for Instagram, for Twitter, for Facebook, for still images, for the YouTube community. So
you're working into the wee hours of the night.
I was, until I started scaling up.
Right. And so as money came in, you were just investing everything back into Knicks Fan TV.
Everything. Yeah.
And like the money's coming in through YouTube monetization and sponsorships?
For the most part, I think the best thing about being an independent, content creator, media brand is that you have so many lanes or revenue streams that you can tap into. But starting with YouTube, yes, you have a YouTube advertising network. You have your fan donations, which has become big. We've branched out into merch. We have the Knicks Fan TV snaps.
Yeah, I see people wearing it.
Knicks Fan TV shirts, right? And you have events. We do a couple events a year where we partner with other fan groups, and we do our group sales events at Madison Square Garden, which is always great. So you have different revenue streams that you can tap into. And then, as you said, once that comes in, I figure out, okay, how do I take more off of my hands, put it into the experts' hands, and the overall goal is to give the audience who have been loyal and supportive to me a better experience. And so that's enhancing my equipment. I just purchased Shure mics of my own and a nice boom arm, enhance the lighting on my backdrop, and made it a more professional.
I saw that set change and I was like, hell yeah.
Right.
Things are going good for Knicks Fan TV.
That's right. And, again, bringing on talented video editors, which is everything in this, digital age, social media age that we're in. Bringing on more collaborators with me that can come in and certainly invest in that talent. So,
and you didn't go to school for any of this?
None of it. So
obviously a really smart guy. You're starting a media company with just on the fly. Like it's impressive to see you scale up and to figure out even how to bring in all these revenue streams and to figure out the production, because you have high quality production value for a live show. Like I used to do work at SI, and there's an army that built a network for them, and your views are rivaling some of their live shows. Like that's super impressive.
Thanks.
For such a, it's also such a niche. They're talking national. You're in a small pool of Knicks fans. Now there's a lot of us, but that speaks to your mettle and your passion for this, and obviously who you are as a person. So
even though I didn't go to school for this, you know how they always say you need that like 10,000 hours of mastery, right?
Yeah.
I think listening to sports radio on a daily basis, day in, day out, I feel like that really helped me.
Yeah.
That was my training, listening to how, you know, Mike engages with the fans, or the Mad Dog engages with the fans. I was in and out of that every single day. So I think that was really part of the training.
Yeah.
And then there was other things that I wanted to learn, where, you know, the passion for all this really, really carried me. So I think one of the things that I was most proud of, I was just talking to one of my AV guys on Monday, was that we did a live show during the Knicks home opener against the Celtics this past one from Mustang Harry's in New York City. Salute to Knicks Nation. Special edition Knicks Fan TV live from Mustang Harry's here in New York City, couple blocks away from Madison Square Garden. And we streamed it to the channel, and it was a 3-man production. And it was quality that I would compare to an ESPN set, where, you know, you have 100 guys in a truck, so on and so forth. We did it with 3 guys, a Wi-Fi connection, and it was a hit. It was a hit. We had 100 people for the actual event at the bar supporting us for the home opener, and then, you know, thousands at home watching, and it was incredible. The guys that I've been able to interact with from the community, like the Alan Hans and Max and so on, it's incredible, man. You know,
like when they call you on to come on ESPN, what's going through your mind? Who was the first person to put you on a platform like that? Was it Alan?
It was Max.
Oh, it was Max.
Yeah, Alan came on my show. Yeah, he's been
Alan
on my show.
came on your show, yeah.
Yeah, so we do now, we kind of make it a ritual where we do he's been on it twice, where we do a season preview show. So before the season starts, he'll come on, and it'll be me and him, and we'll, you know, preview the key storylines of the season, and then bring in the fans. Those shows hit 100,000 views both years. And so that's been a big one.
You two together is a powerful combo. That's always good entertainment.
2 Long Island guys. So, you know, we banter back and forth very well. And so I like our chemistry. And then with Max, you know, the Max thing started as, you know, me versus him, the Knicks fan versus the sellout Knicks fan.
It's like their bar mitzvah all of a sudden. 18 and 17, Casey, who cares?
Listen, ESPN cares. This is why I'm here on the Max Kellerman Show. It is the talk of the town. The New York Knicks are the story of the first half of the NBA. Put some respect on our name.
Right.
And it was, I thought it was just going to be one show where me and him were just going back and forth. And then he invited me back for another. And then another. And then ultimately, he positioned me as not just a Knicks fan, but an NBA analyst.
Yeah.
You
are. I mean, you give those. Your breakdowns are as good as anybody else's.
Appreciate it. And so the Max series evolved from just a Knicks fan squabble to us talking about the key storylines in the NBA playoffs overall, not just Knicks, but everything. And so that was like 8 to 10 weeks. I'm going on weekly on the Max Kellerman Show, and then doing my own show on WFAN, you know, the platform that I grew up idolizing, and walking into that studio, sitting in the chair that, you know, Mike Fanchise sat in, and all these guys. It was crazy. I was able to host a Knicks-centered show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, State of the Knicks, man. It was a major moment, man. It was a major moment.
I think that's hard for people to understand outside of New York, is that like our sports radio, before everyone had their own podcast that they listened to, our sports radio is like a part of our DNA in the tri-state area. Like, it's every time you're in the car, for a lot of people, it's the voices. They feel like you're friends. It's just like, it keeps you like so united as a city.
No question.
It must have been amazing to sit in Mike's chair and do that.
Incredible. The diehard Knicks fan is passionate. At times they're delusional, but they're very smart. They're very savvy. It was incredible, man. I still can't believe I was able to do that. So I definitely appreciate them for giving me that opportunity for sure.
And so now you're getting all these opportunities. Talk to me about what just happened at NBA Radio on SiriusXM.
Yeah, so I literally just signed the contract with NBA Radio and SiriusXM to cover the post-game shows. So literally just started with them. So, we'll see how that evolves. But,
how does that impact Knicks Fan TV, though?
Oh, it won't. It won't. Yeah.
So it's Knicks post-game shows?
No. This will be covering the NBA.
So end of the night kind of deal.
End of the night type of deal.
So you're going to put in Knicks Fan TV and then go.
Put in work.
Put in work, man. Good for you.
Yeah. CP the Fanchise, the name has to come out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great name, by the way.
Thanks.
Did you came up with that name or somebody handed it to you?
I came up with the name.
It's amazing.
I'm for the fans, by the fans. So
yeah.
But it kind of just rolled off.
Now, did you play basketball? Where is all this knowledge coming from?
I did play basketball at the high school level, not the collegiate level. Collegiate was more
because you know your stuff.
Intramurals, and as you get older, you start getting distracted by women and things of that nature. So you kind of fall off. But no, overall, man, it's just loving the game. Right. I never missed a Knicks game for 20 years. Rarely. Even the terrible years.
Even Isaiah
years. I'm watching every game every night. Every game every night. I don't miss a Yankee game. I don't miss a Giants game.
So where do you see this thing going? What would you like to see Knicks Fan TV become?
I certainly have goals for it that, somebody got to keep, close to the vest because competition could be watching. You got to keep it close to the vest. But
how many copycats?
Oh, there's a lot, man. Yeah,
there's a lot. Saw your success and they're trying to.
Yeah, there's a lot. But, I look at it as a good thing because I have a lot of people who message me and say, hey, I want to get started. Hey, you inspired me to do this. I have people who will message me and say, hey, during that pandemic, you got me through a dark time. So I look at it, I value what I do. And even if people want to start their own platform, I want my platform to be that inspiration, right? Especially people in my community, African Americans or kids out there who maybe want to jump into the game, but maybe only see it as, if I don't make it as a player, I can't make it. I want to be able to show them, you can jump into this space as a content creator. And speak to athletes. Maybe you want to be a GM. I'm bringing on GMs to show you the inside. What's it like, at the draft? What's it like as covering free agency? What's it like at the trade deadline? I'm bringing on former GMs to talk about their experience and give fans that behind the scenes look. So I kind of want to be that inspiration for others to start their own thing because as we talked about at the beginning of this interview, it's very hard to crack into this thing. And that's why I never did in the beginning, whether it's in media or in a front office or whatever it is to crack in with your favorite team or league. It's very hard to get in.
Right.
So I like having this platform to kind of be an inspiration to others to start their own thing.
I mean, what I said before is we're celebrating people that live on their own terms, but like the fact that you don't have to answer to an ESPN, you don't have to have, these gatekeepers tell you what you can and can't talk about or to say, hey, bring up Tim Tebow every 7 minutes. Like you don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah. So those days are over, man.
So you're going to get offers. Obviously, NBA is one of them, but you're going to get a lot of offers from places. I foresee that definitely being on the table for you. Is this something that you think that you can build and maybe open the gates up to do other things?
Yeah.
Or is there a party that always wants to stay independent?
That part of me wants to stay independent because, as you say, I don't have to answer to anyone. I can say what I want. I can keep it authentic. I keep it respectful at the end of the day.
Yeah.
One of the key slogans that the fans know me by is that my show's a family show. I don't curse on my show. I don't encourage people to curse on my show because I want families to be able to drive in the car, listen to it with their kids of all ages. It's what I did when I was a kid. So I want this show to appeal to everybody. Now, if me and you are at a bar watching the game, then we'll keep it 100.
You can't be a Knicks fan and not curse.
That's right. Even on my show, sometimes it'll slip out, but overall, I want to broaden that appeal. So, I think long term for me, I want to keep it independent, because I love what I'm doing, and I love connecting with people. You know, on a nightly basis, a post-game show on my show, you may hear from somebody from, yes, the tri-state area, New York, but I'll have my guy Greg from Vietnam call in.
Shut up, really?
100%.
Greg from Vietnam.
Greg from Vietnam.
He's trolling you. He's from Bayonne.
He's a guy, man. I'm telling you. We have Greg from Vietnam. We've had guys call in from Israel. We have guys call in from Belize. We have guys call in from. We have a big Germany, Austria contingent. Australia, New Zealand. We have a lot of guys calling in from there. The UK, France. You know, we this is a global thing, and that's really never been done. Until the advent of social media, which is where we can connect globally. So it's, wow. I think the national appeal, I would never turn those opportunities down, but I look at those opportunities as a way to continue to build my brand. But at the same time, I'd like to stay on the independent side because I just think that's where things are going.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's where we are, not just going. That's where we are. Right,
yeah, like
now.
everything is getting more niche on
it's niche.
Right. You just want to get direct to the point of what you're interested in. So if I want Knicks content, I don't want to sit through 40 minutes of Jets talk. I don't want to do it. I just want to know, like, are we going to get a point guard?
Right.
What's the deal with Mitch?
Right.
Who are we going to pass on in the draft that's going to piss me off?
Yeah.
Is it hard to stay positive? You do a good job of keeping it real, but there's always a tinge of optimism, which I think is necessary.
It's very necessary. Very necessary.
Is that by choice that, like, hey guys, we're going to keep it positive but be real about certain things?
No, I think, you know, when it's necessary, I'll come down on the team. I have no problems coming down on the team. I think at the trade deadline, I was very disappointed that we weren't able to offload some of the veteran contracts and get some of the younger guys playing time. But at the same time, I do try to keep it positive because I say this all the time. The NBA is the hardest league in sports to build a championship contender because I think a lot of luck plays into it. You have to get lucky in terms of your draft position. You have to get lucky that the kid that you pick turns into the next star. It's a star-driven league at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so, but I am positive because I feel like this regime, even though they haven't hit the home run yet, they've still hit a lot of singles and doubles. And, you know, everything hasn't been perfect, but they also haven't mortgaged the farm for nominal gains. So I am a little bit optimistic. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say maybe 6.5, 7 right now.
You know, when have we drafted second round gems? That's like Spurs shit. And that's what Leon Rose and World Wide West is doing. So
look, I don't think there's been a time in our history where we've had this many promising youngsters, whether it's RJ, I think Quentin Grimes is a guy who's going to be a fixture in our rotation. I think Emmanuel Quickly is another guy who could be here.
I could see him getting traded, though.
I hope not, man.
I hope not, too. I like Quick, too.
He's
we got a Sixers fan in the house, and I like to say that every time Tyrese Maxey has a good game, like he's looking like more like Quickly every day. He gets so pissed. He gets so pissed.
Are you kidding?
He's almost like IQ.
Yeah.
I don't know why he likes the Sixers, but
he's a New Yorker.
He's a New Jersey guy, but he's a West Jersey guy.
All right.
He might as well be Pennsylvania.
Okay, all right. That's understandable.
Listen, Isaiah years are tough.
With his
It's
situation.
never too late to turn sides. Come to the good side.
His Sixers fandom. He has an amazing picture with Joel, and we met Joel Embiid at a Sports Illustrated swimsuit event because he's dating one of the girls. There's an amazing picture of those two together.
Nice. Is he picking him up like over the threshold?
He should have. No, he was not happy. One person smiling, one person is not in the photo.
Not picking him up over the threshold. It's not too late to turn back.
Oh yeah, that's
the process. Is not too thrilled.
Yeah, the process.
He's not too thrilled.
He's like, "There's Birds fans here."
Yeah.
Shit. Sixers. We let it slide.
I like Maxey though. Man.
I like Maxey.
I like Maxey a lot. I actually wanted Maxey.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks did too. I think there will come a time when the pressure's going to build on Leon Rose to really make a move.
This is where you play a pivotal role, though, because you got to get the dogs to not bark on Dolan to make a move.
They're barking on Tibbs, not Dolan right now.
Well, that's, coach change is fine, but it's when we do like a massive clean the slate or mortgage everything for one guy.
Right.
Like, And a lot of times I think the fans don't realize that we're part of the problem. Like the more you chatter on the fan about wanting to mortgage everybody to go get Donovan Mitchell or somebody that like Dolan might listen. So be careful.
He does. He absolutely does, man. He absolutely does. And, you know, it's funny when you say the fan is a problem. Julius Randle's wife took me to task.
She said you were being too hard on Julius. He needed it, though.
Part of the problem.
Let's be real. He needed it.
He did. And after the whole thumbs down fiasco, right, that was a bad thing for him. You know, and this is New York. And New Yorkers don't forget that. Especially when you're playing bad. They're never going to forget that. Especially when Obi Toppin is breathing down his neck. They're never going to forget. And one day, I think fan interaction with players has been kind of a trend this year. In terms of, LeBron had an incident in Indiana. Russell Westbrook's had a couple.
But those
of
are people
incidents.
being way out of line,
Right. But Julius's incident was thumbs downing to the fans.
Yeah.
At a home game in the middle of a Knicks run to try to win a game.
Yeah, and I feel like Knicks fans were being pretty loyal to Julius. We were.
I thought so. Yeah, you know, 1 minute he's the MVP. He's at the line in the preseason game. We're chanting MVP.
Yeah.
And so.
And deep down, we know you're not MVP.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. But we're still proud.
But we will ride with you.
We'll ride with you. You know, that's the thing about New York, man. When you're on top, you're on top. And so one day on Twitter, there was news about Westbrook's wife had complained about fans wishing them ill will on social media. And through 6 degrees of separation, I was connected to his wife through someone who I had worked with. So I had said, you know, this is my guy, Jeff. This is not cool. So I had retweeted that article. And I said, you know, I never encourage fans to go at players. Personally, I never do that. I think it's very cringe. I don't like when people go at players and disrespect the craft. I hate that. And so I just retweeted on Twitter. I said, you know, this is not cool. Let's not address these players directly. You know, when we have our forum and we talk about the game, keep it in the forum. You can say whatever you want about these players on my show.
Yeah.
But don't attack them.
Yeah, their kids are on, you know.
Don't attack them. And so I put that tweet out. I went out about my day. Hours later, I come back. I got a notification from Julius Randle's wife.
Well, how could she have issue? You did the right thing. You said the right thing.
Right? And basically, in a sarcastic way, thought, you know, that I wasn't being genuine in my response. And so we had a back and forth. And I said, look, I don't attack you guys personally. And she basically replied and said, you know, it's not you. But no. She said, you and platforms like you contribute to this environment that cause us pain. So save your sympathy. And it was crazy, man.
Platforms like you also like are what keeps the thing going.
Right.
You're giving legit critiques.
Legit critiques.
Just as Skip Bayless and Stephen A is doing.
Yeah.
They're even worse.
That's it.
They're going for clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
God knows Skip is just going for the jugular. He's trying to just piss people off.
Yeah. When the guy has a great game, we praise him like the king. Last season, when he had the most improved player season, I talked so highly about the guy.
Yeah, you're even telling people like we can't trade him. Be loyal.
I'm defending him against Max Kellerman.
Right.
You know,
which is more like probably the real take, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe we should if we can get something good. You know?
So, you know, she propped me up as like the puppet master here. And
that you were inciting the fans.
I was inciting it.
That's not, then they don't know New York because they don't need you to incite themselves.
That's right. That's right. So, funny moment.
Wow. Did you mention it all on the show?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's pretty cool that they know about the show, though. I mean, let's take that.
Right. Even though they're not fans, and you know,
but you are wearing my platform.
Right. So I think it spoke to the influence that we had, and it spoke to the fact that these players, I know players that do watch the show. You know, not just Julius, but other players on the team do watch the show and are fans of the show, but not the Randles.
Now you had Fournier on, right?
I had Fournier on. The only
is that the
interview,
first active player that has been on the show?
Yes. And the only interview that he did when he got here, he didn't do ESPN, he didn't do WFAN, he didn't do anything. He came on.
He knows what's up.
Knicks Fan TV.
He gets some props for that.
Yeah.
Even though you're trying to get everyone to offload his contract.
Yeah,
which,
right.
But
I gave him a lot of love for that. You know, I gave him a lot of love for that. We're a platform that we're gonna keep it real 100% of the time.
Yeah,
and we're gonna try to keep it respectful, and because we have had incidents where fans will leave a donation saying, you know, I hope so and so gets COVID or there's. I don't read that.
Right.
Because I don't encourage that. And when, you know, fans would call in, because this kid gets a lot of like attention in the media, but like, you know, I have a thing against, you know, really putting kids out there on media and
that's
stuff
off
like that.
limits. I don't know where this
Off
became
limits
a
for me,
thing.
man. Yeah, off limits. So whenever fans would call and mention that, I don't even address that. I try to steer them off of that. And so I just presented my side of it, but we're always going to keep it real. And this is New York. It's a tough place to play.
Yeah. Like things like
It's a tough place to
saying Russell Westbrook and things like that, that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But like putting your hands on Chris Paul's mom, or
Right,
spitting
right.
on
You're crossing-
players,
you're
or
crossing
throwing
the line,
things.
man. Yeah.
Like that's crossing the line. Like you
Crossing
should
the
be
line.
banned from the Garden forever.
Yeah.
For doing things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I got kicked out of a Knicks game once.
You did?
You did? Oh,
What'd
no,
you
we got to
do?
hear
It
that
was
story.
an accident.
What'd you do?
I was fucking around with a rubber band in a playoff game.
In a playoff game?
And
How old are you?
On
13?
the court or on
I
the
was
plate?
in high school. I was a stupid kid. You could wrap the rubber band around your finger and shoot it. And the security guard who knows us for 25 years put his hands on his head. I'll never forget it. His whole head wrinkled. He's bald. Put his hands on his head. He was like, oh. And his boss came down and was like,
Gotta go?
you gotta go. It's my two guy friends that I brought with me who were fans, and they were like, "Are you fucking kidding?
You gotta go.
You
So
took
did
us
it
to
land
a
on the
playoff
court?
game, and in the first quarter,
First
you got
quarter.
us kicked out.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
it wasn't even anything cool. It wasn't like a good story. In 25
So that's
years.
Allen Houston years.
Yes.
But clearly, those are good seats. That
Those
was
are
a
good.
flex.
Yeah,
Those-
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
She's
a
a
good
We were
good-
third row behind the other.
There it is.
So, what is like the main platform that you would recommend to get YouTube numbers up? Is it a Twitter thing? Is it Instagram?
Each platform is unique. So some people on Instagram are loyal to Instagram and they're not going to come to YouTube. Some people on YouTube are not going to go to Instagram, especially the older generation.
Yeah.
Twitter, same thing. And so I've kind of stopped worrying about promoting the show from other platforms and just trying to create content specific to those platforms where those people will digest it. And, you know, yeah, we'll leave our links. We'll still leave the links there.
Yeah.
We'll leave the links in the profile if you want to come to YouTube. But I think over time I've realized that, you know, trying to cross promote, you'll get a couple of guys coming over, but it won't be anything significant. I think YouTube drives itself. Sure, if we have a big interview scheduled, we'll put that out there. Like, hey, we have so and so coming on, come through, and you know you'll drive those numbers there. But by and large, we'll make Instagram content for Instagram. Typically, if we do an Instagram reel, it'll be relatable for TikTok. So we're trying to grow our TikTok, trying to get that Gen Z, you know, subscribership there. Twitter will be primarily where I'll be engaging just on a regular basis, and then we'll throw our content up there. So at this point, I've kind of steered away from promoting YouTube through those other platforms and just.
Do you ever run ads? Or in the beginning, did you?
And on Instagram, I've tried it.
Yeah.
It's been okay. You know,
There's a lot of bots clicking those
Yeah,
ads.
yeah, it's been okay, but other than that, no. You know what it is? The people are your promotion.
Yeah.
That share button is a powerful thing on all social media.
Yeah.
That's what drives the algorithm. Whether it's Twitter, the retweet on Twitter, the share on YouTube, the at or the DM or the share on Instagram, that's your promotion.
All right, so CP, what advice do you have for YouTubers out there? So somebody that wants to be the next CP the Fanchise.
First thing is consistency, because everything flows from there. You know, you have to be consistent. In the beginning, you're not going to have as many views. You're not going to make any money. And I think those two things is going to determine whether or not you're truly passionate about what you're doing.
Right.
Because You have to put in the time. If you're not putting in the time, you're really not going to get any of that. But if you're putting in the time and you're still not getting the views and the money, but you're staying consistent, ultimately it will come. Because once you know that that is your passion, the feedback is going to come in. The feedback from your own viewers, the few viewers that you have, and the feedback from your own evaluation of what you're doing. Like, okay, this is working, this is not working. I need to upgrade this, I need to do this. You know, your fan base may say, you know, let's, you know, bring on this guy, or do this with your content, or do this with your presentation, right? You have to tap into that feedback and invest in that. It's an iterative process.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think with
work in progress.
It's a work in progress. And you always have to keep learning. That's the one thing with me, is that while I was being consistent, I was always trying to learn, right? I told you, like, I was learning how to video edit with Final Cut Pro, how to, you know, what is the equipment that I need to sound better. I would tap into other interviewers to hear how they would interview so that I could sharpen up my interviewing skills.
Yeah. How hard is it to do that when the views are like, well, 27 people watch this thing?
It's not hard if you're passionate about what you're doing.
Right.
Because you're going to want to do it. And if you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to believe in yourself anyway. So with that, it's going to come. It's going to come. You know, you just have to stay the course.
Your rocket is flying high, my friend. I think that, you know, Knicks Fan TV is just getting started. I think once this team even has minimal success consistently, that your numbers are going to spike. God forbid we ever win a championship. You're having a float on Broadway.
Oh, we're
Don't
definitely
say
getting that
God
float.
forbid.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's been 30 years. Say God willing.
God willing. God willing. Sorry.
Canyon of
Freudian
Heroes.
slip. God forbid.
The Canyon of
Hell
Heroes.
would have to freeze over for it to happen.
Knicks
It's
slip. God willing, not God forbid.
The Canyon of Heroes needs a Knicks parade. You know,
Yeah,
I've been to several Yankee parades. I've been to 2 Giants parades, and it's a great time. We need a Knicks one. If we have a Knicks one, it might be a city holiday.
Shut this shit down.
It might be
shut down if the Knicks ever win a
Yeah,
championship.
Patrick gets a ring. Whatever happens, he gets a ring.
we send him a
We
ceremonial
don't
ring.
even have to win. Just take us there.
Well, I was at the Heat game where they dropped confetti after the one win against LeBron. Now, I had never experienced a stadium like that before.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to tell my 76ers fan here, one win when we knew the series was over.
Yeah.
Might as well have been better than any Yankee World Series I had ever seen.
That's right. Because for us, it's a big deal.
It's different here. The Knicks, something about the Knicks.
I mean, look, when they beat the Hawks in Game 2, I was at the Hawks series, Game 1 through 4. I traveled to Atlanta too, but for Game 2, the only game we won, it was crazy. When I stepped outside, it was a parade in itself. They literally shut down 7th Avenue. There was no traffic coming through. There was Knicks fans spilling out on the streets. I was running into people, you know, fans of my channel. It was crazy. Absolutely incredible. And that was just one win. The first win in 8 years. First playoff win in 8 years.
Wow.
It was an incredible experience just being out there, man.
Well,
incredible.
I think this is just the start for you. I'm excited to keep, you know, watching you and seeing this grow. And I wish you the best of luck on NBA radio as well as on YouTube. And you need to bring us that luck, CP.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Thanks again for having me on.
Katrin, thank you for the cocktails.
You're welcome.
When this blows up, I want you back and you tell us what it's like on the other side.
Anytime, man. Thanks again for having me on.
All right. Zucks, send it to the internet, my friend.